Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 motorcycles dealers wish buyers didn't know about. Number 12, Kawasaki Vulcan S. The Kawasaki Vulcan S is the kind of motorcycle many dealerships would rather you overlook because it doesn't create the same repeat sales as some of its competitors. Once people buy one, they often keep it for years, making it less likely they'll be back in the showroom looking for another motorcycle anytime soon. One reason is its outstanding balance. It offers cruiser styling, everyday comfort, and dependable performance in a package that's easy to live with. Instead of quickly outgrowing it, many owners discover it continues meeting their needs long after the purchase. It also has a reputation for holding up remarkably well over time. High owner satisfaction and solid reliability mean buyers rarely feel pressured to trade it in because of recurring problems or disappointing ownership experiences. That's not ideal for dealerships hoping to sell another bike a year or two later. The Vulcan S also competes with motorcycles that cost considerably more while delivering an ownership experience that's satisfying enough for many riders. When buyers realize they don't need to spend thousands extra to enjoy a dependable cruiser, it becomes much harder for dealers to upsell them. The Kawasaki Vulcan S opens this list because it's one of those motorcycles that quietly keeps owners happy for years. And that's exactly the kind of customer dealerships don't always want to create. Number 11, Honda Rebel 500. The Honda Rebel 500 is one of those motorcycles that dealerships rarely have to talk buyers into because the people who own one often do the selling for them. What many dealers don't advertise, however, is just how difficult it becomes to convince Rebel owners to upgrade once they've experienced how capable this motorcycle really is. One of the biggest reasons is its incredible value. The Rebel 500 offers dependable performance, low running costs, excellent fuel economy, and a level of reliability that allows many owners to keep it for years without feeling the need to replace it. That isn't great news for dealerships hoping to sell a bigger or more expensive motorcycle later. Its versatility is another advantage buyers often underestimate. It works equally well for new riders, daily commuting, weekend rides, and even light touring. Instead of being a temporary stepping stone, the Rebel 500 frequently becomes a motorcycle that owners choose to keep even after gaining years of riding experience. The motorcycle also enjoys outstanding resale demand, meaning owners aren't forced into taking large financial losses if they eventually decide to sell. That combination of reliability, practicality, and long-term value makes it one of the smartest purchases in the cruiser market. The Honda Rebel 500 earns its place on this list because once buyers realize how much motorcycle they're getting for the money, convincing them to spend significantly more becomes a much harder job for any dealership. Number 10, Yamaha MT-7. The Yamaha MT-7 is the kind of motorcycle that quietly ruins dealership sales strategies. Once buyers realize what it offers for the money, it becomes much harder to convince them to spend thousands more on larger or more expensive models. That's exactly why it's one of those motorcycles dealers would rather you not look at too closely. The biggest reason is its incredible balance. The MT-7 delivers strong real-world performance, excellent handling, dependable reliability, and everyday practicality without carrying a premium price tag. Ownership costs also work heavily in the buyer's favor. The motorcycle is known for its durability, reasonable maintenance expenses, and excellent long-term reliability. Instead of returning to the dealership because of expensive repairs or dissatisfaction, many owners simply keep riding it year after year. Another advantage is its massive aftermarket support and loyal owner community. Riders can personalize the MT-7 to suit their needs instead of replacing it with something newer, which further reduces the chances of returning to the showroom for another purchase. The Yamaha MT-7 belongs on this list because once buyers understand how much performance and value it delivers, spending significantly more on another motorcycle becomes a far more difficult decision. Number 9, Royal Enfield Hunter 350. The Royal Enfield Hunter 350 is one of those motorcycles that can quietly save buyers thousands of dollars, which is exactly why it doesn't always receive the attention it deserves inside a dealership. Once people realize how much value it offers at its price point, it becomes much harder to justify spending significantly more on larger motorcycles. The Hunter 350 succeeds because it focuses on the things that matter most. It's easy to ride, inexpensive to maintain, fuel efficient, and simple enough to make everyday ownership refreshingly stress-free. For many riders, that's far more valuable than paying extra for performance they'll rarely use. Another reason dealers don't mind steering buyers toward pricier models is that the Hunter often exceeds expectations. Many owners purchase it as a beginner motorcycle only to keep it for years because it continues meeting their needs long after they become more experienced riders. That means fewer upgrades and fewer repeat sales. Its affordability also extends well beyond the purchase price. Insurance, servicing, and day-to-day running costs remain low, allowing owners to enjoy motorcycling without constantly worrying about expensive ownership bills. The Royal Enfield Hunter 350 earns its place on this list because once buyers understand how much motorcycle they're getting for the money, many realize they simply don't need to spend thousands more to enjoy riding. Number 8. Honda CB500X. The Honda CB500X is one of those motorcycles that can quietly derail a dealership's sales pitch. Buyers often walk in expecting to spend much more on a larger adventure bike, only to realize the CB500X already delivers everything they actually need. Once that happens, upselling becomes a much more difficult conversation. The biggest surprise is just how capable it is. Whether it's daily commuting, weekend touring, or light adventure riding, the CB500X handles each task with confidence while remaining approachable and easy to own. For many riders, paying thousands more for a bigger motorcycle simply doesn't deliver enough extra value to justify the cost. Long-term ownership is another reason the CB500X has such a loyal following. It has earned an excellent reputation for reliability, reasonable maintenance costs, and dependable everyday performance. Owners often keep them for years because there's very little to complain about and even less reason to replace them. Perhaps most importantly, the CB500X makes buyers think rationally instead of emotionally. It proves that you don't need the biggest engine or the most expensive adventure bike to enjoy long rides and everyday practicality, which can make higher-priced models much harder for dealers to sell. The Honda CB500X belongs on this list because once buyers recognize how complete the package really is, spending thousands more starts to feel unnecessary rather than exciting. Number 7. Triumph Bonneville T120. The Triumph Bonneville T120 is one of those motorcycles that can completely change a buyer's shopping plans. Many riders walk into a dealership expecting to compare several premium motorcycles, but after spending time with the T120, they often realize they don't need anything more expensive or more complicated. That's not exactly ideal for dealerships hoping to move higher-priced inventory. The T120 offers something that's becoming increasingly rare: timeless styling backed by proven engineering. It delivers premium craftsmanship, excellent comfort, and dependable performance in a package that satisfies riders for years, rather than encouraging them to trade up after a season or two. Another reason dealers don't always emphasize it is because of its outstanding owner satisfaction. The T120 has developed a reputation for keeping owners happy over the long term, meaning they're less likely to return looking for another motorcycle anytime soon. That kind of loyalty is great for buyers, but not always for showroom sales. When you consider its build quality, reliability, and strong resale value, the T120 becomes an easy motorcycle to justify at its price point. Buyers often discover they're making one purchase instead of several upgrades over the years. The Triumph Bonneville T120 belongs on this list because once riders understand how complete and satisfying it is, convincing them to spend even more money becomes a much tougher task for any dealership. Number 6. Honda Rebel 1100. The Honda Rebel 1100 is one of those motorcycles that can quietly undermine a dealership's entire upselling strategy. Buyers often arrive expecting to compare multiple cruisers, But once they understand everything the Rebel 1100 offers, many stop looking altogether. That's exactly why it's a motorcycle dealers don't always highlight as much as they could. One of its biggest strengths is how much value it packs into a single package. It combines modern technology, strong performance, everyday comfort, and Honda's outstanding reputation for reliability without carrying the price tag of many larger premium cruisers. For a lot of riders, spending thousands more simply doesn't make much sense. The Rebel 1100 also has a habit of staying in garages for a long time. Owners frequently report that it does everything they want, whether it's commuting, weekend rides, or longer touring trips. That means fewer reasons to trade up and fewer opportunities for dealerships to make another sale. The Honda Rebel 1100 earns its place on this list because once buyers realize how complete the package really is, it's much harder for dealers to convince them they need a more expensive motorcycle. Number 5. Kawasaki Z650. The Kawasaki Z650 is one of the smartest motorcycles in the middleweight class, but it's also one that can quietly reduce a dealership's chances of making a bigger sale. Once buyers see how much performance and practicality it delivers, many decide there's little reason to stretch their budget for a larger motorcycle. Its biggest strength is balance. The Z650 is quick enough to keep experienced riders entertained, comfortable enough for everyday commuting, and approachable enough for newer riders to build confidence. That wide range of abilities makes it a motorcycle people tend to keep rather than replace after a short period. Another advantage is its reputation for dependable ownership. The Z650 has earned praise for its reliability, reasonable maintenance costs, and straightforward engineering, allowing owners to enjoy the motorcycle without constantly thinking about repairs or expensive upgrades. When buyers compare everything the Z650 offers against motorcycles costing significantly more, the value becomes difficult to ignore. Instead of paying extra for features they may never fully use, many realize the Z650 already covers everything they actually need. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S may seem like a strange choice for this list, but there's a reason dealers don't always point out its biggest advantage. Thanks to aggressive incentives and discounts in many markets, buyers who negotiate properly can often walk away with far more motorcycle for their money than the original sticker price suggests. Many shoppers focus only on the motorcycle's controversial styling or its departure from the traditional Sportster formula. What often gets overlooked is that dealerships are sometimes far more flexible on pricing than they are with Harley-Davidson's stronger-selling models. Buyers who know that have much more negotiating power than they realize. Another reason this matters is depreciation. Since much of the early value loss has already become widely known, securing a meaningful discount up front can make the overall ownership equation far more attractive. Buyers who do their homework often end up in a much better financial position than those who simply accept the advertised price. That doesn't mean the Sportster S is the perfect motorcycle for everyone, but it does mean informed buyers have an opportunity many people miss. Walking into a dealership with pricing knowledge can completely change the conversation and potentially save thousands of dollars. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S earns its place on this list because the biggest secret isn't the motorcycle itself. It's how much negotiating power knowledgeable buyers often have before signing the paperwork. Number 3. Suzuki SV650. The Suzuki SV650 is one of those motorcycles that can quietly cost dealerships future sales. Once buyers understand how dependable, capable, and affordable it is to own, many stop looking at more expensive alternatives. That's exactly why it's a motorcycle dealers don't always push as hard as they could. The biggest advantage is how much value it delivers without asking buyers to overspend. The SV650 offers enjoyable performance, comfortable everyday usability, proven reliability, and low ownership costs in one package. Instead of feeling like a motorcycle that needs replacing after a year or two, it often becomes one that owners happily keep for the long haul. Its reputation also works heavily in the buyer's favor. The SV650 has spent years building trust among riders, with countless owners praising its durability and straightforward maintenance. Perhaps most importantly, the SV650 proves that you don't need to spend premium money to get a motorcycle that's genuinely satisfying. Once buyers compare it with motorcycles costing several $1,000s more, many realize the extra money doesn't always translate into a better ownership experience. The Suzuki SV650 belongs near the top of this list because once buyers discover how complete the package really is, it becomes much harder for dealerships to justify steering them towards significantly more expensive motorcycles. Number 2. Royal Enfield Meteor 350. The Royal Enfield Meteor 350 is one of those motorcycles that dealerships don't always want buyers to examine too closely. On paper, it looks like a simple entry-level cruiser, but once riders understand everything it offers for the price, many begin questioning why they should spend thousands more on larger motorcycles. The Meteor 350's biggest strength is its overall ownership experience. It's comfortable, easy to ride, inexpensive to maintain, and surprisingly refined for its price point. For commuting, relaxed weekend rides, and everyday use, it delivers exactly what many riders need without burdening them with unnecessary complexity or higher ownership costs. Another reason it quietly frustrates dealership sales strategies is owner satisfaction. Many buyers purchase the Meteor 350 expecting it to be a temporary motorcycle, only to keep it for years because it continues meeting their needs. That means fewer trade-ins, fewer upgrades, and fewer opportunities for dealerships to sell another bike. When buyers compare its affordability, fuel efficiency, low maintenance costs, and dependable reputation against motorcycles costing significantly more, the value becomes impossible to ignore. Spending extra money simply doesn't guarantee a noticeably better ownership experience. Royal Enfield Meteor 350 earns the runner-up spot because once buyers realize how much motorcycle they're getting for the price, convincing them to spend substantially more becomes one of the toughest jobs any dealership faces. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Fat Boy. The Harley-Davidson Fat Boy takes the top spot because it reveals something dealerships rarely emphasize. Buying the right motorcycle is often far more important than buying the newest one. While sales staff may encourage buyers toward higher-margin models or expensive upgrade packages, the Fat Boy continues proving that a well-established motorcycle can be the smarter long-term investment. One of the biggest reasons is its exceptional resale value. Unlike many motorcycles that lose value quickly, the Fat Boy has consistently remained one of Harley-Davidson's strongest performers in the used market. Buyers who choose one often recover far more of their investment when it's eventually time to sell or trade, making the overall cost of ownership far more attractive than many people realize. The Fat Boy also enjoys something that's difficult to put a price on: lasting demand. It has an iconic design, a loyal following, and a reputation that keeps buyers interested year after year. That means owners aren't pressured into replacing it simply because a newer model appears in the showroom, which is exactly the opposite of what many dealerships hope for. The Harley-Davidson Fat Boy earns the number 1 position because once buyers understand its true long-term value, it becomes far more difficult for dealerships to convince them that spending even more money is the better decision. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.